Morning. Welcome to the February 5th edition of the Inner Circle Mentorship Live Trading Edition. Um, Natasha and Leslie here, and this morning Natasha is going to get us started with SPX.
All right, good people. Good morning. Good morning. Just taking a look at the chart to see if anything has changed. As you can see, for quite some time, we've been kind of hovering above this 6,000 level. Um, and we really came up from about, we came all the way back down here back on January 15th to the 5850-ish level. But since then, and as you can see, it really bounced here. Since then, we've had a hard time breaking back below 6,000, which is where your moving averages are meeting. And for that reason, I don't see much in the way of downward movement until we can break and hold below these levels. Um, we're not going to go to the NDX chart, but it's a very, very similar, very similar chart when you look at the levels there. And you can see on this 2-3 candle, as well as this 127 candle, those were the two rug pull days. But if you take a look at what it did, and on the 27th, it wicked down to the 382. And we had a real solid move down to the point 382 on the 3rd, but it bounced and it wants to stay above these moving averages here. So I wouldn't look to be too terribly short on either of these indexes, and unless and until we can start breaking down below these levels and holding there. What I do see as well, though, is once we do break those levels, that we have a significant amount of drop. We can come all the way back down to about 58. We'll just call it 5860. That 5860 level. Part of what I'm kind of feeling like here, I think that people, and I know we keep talking about the tariffs, but tariffs were not canceled. Tariffs were, in fact, just delayed, so this could happen again. And there will be a lot of money to be made to the downside when that does occur. Right now, the top level in our range is about the 6130 level. And I think if things cool down enough, we could absolutely revisit that and make a new high. So just be on watch. The news, we talk about what the chart says, and right now this chart is saying that we stay up.
All right, that sounds good to me. I was just putting some plays in the chat, trying to get us diversified away from tech and the Mag 7 and hopefully all of this tariff stuff. But what I guess I will do here is I'm going to review some of the plays that we've been in over, I'll say, since about the 27th of January. And hold on one second, get my charts together. Some of the plays that we've been in since the 27th of January and what I'm looking at for this morning. And so one of them is, and I'm sure I know what you're going to say, Natasha, but one of them is Talkspace. And so what sparked my interest in Talkspace, I've been talking for probably the last 2 days on these lives about telehealth. And so telehealth is, or Talkspace is a telehealth company with increasing volume. But you can see Fib this morning is drawn on the daily chart back from November 2023 to the high on April 9th, 2024. And we traded between April 9th, 2024 and August of 2024 right into our 886 level, double bottom there. We got our 2150 cross. Did exactly what folks in the mentorship know to expect to do, which is trade back into those moving averages before we started to resume our bullish trend. And I actually was up last night working on a Fibonacci training. Um, so that'll be interesting. I think we'll preview that in the mentorship. But for the last several months, we've been trading in this zone between the 236, the point 0.5 level, and the 200 moving average. And so now it looks like we're ready to break above those. You guys know, well, let me drop down a little bit to the 4 hour chart. Probably put yeah, I see it. Put a lower time frame fib here. Pretty much address what's going on between these fibs. We know that we're between the point 0.5 level. We just crossed our 0.236. And so we will be looking to move to higher levels. Drop down to the 4 hour. I'm going to get rid of this high time frame fib to keep it simple. And I'm going to actually work with this zone. Looks like January 14th high. I'm sorry, low to January 24th high. And we traded between the 7.9 and the 886 and just kind of took off from there. And so we are up. The low was 286. Um, Up significantly off of that 7.9 level. And we have gotten stopped at our first profit target and attempted to trade back in to the next lowest fib level. Let's look at what our stochastics are doing. Overbought on the 4 hour, overbought on the hourly. I like what I'm seeing here though, because we are starting to give that retrace, or we did give the retrace. Moving averages are completely bullish. This, as we talked about, Natasha and I have talked about, could stay in overbought territory forever, really. Um, but this does give me the expectation that we will trade deeper into the 2150, which is something that we talk about all the time in the mentorship. And so again, the reason why we're looking at Talkspace is number one, because I think that, and I'm gonna research, I'm gonna just take a look at the projected CAGR for telehealth. I think I probably already looked at it before, but I'm trying to get us diversified out of Mag 7 tech stocks, things that could be potential China, things that could potentially be impacted by um, everything that's going on right now. And so the other play is Life Med, LFMD. Same story here. It's a biotech company. And it's just a diversification play. I am a big biotech investor and believer. I love these penny stocks because they're the type of thing that give you that opportunity for really explosive growth, particularly over time, but also in the short, um, like in a short time frame as well. And so we've got bullish divergence starting on our daily chart with a fib, traded back into the 7.9 level, double bottom, again, bullish divergence. And immediately we started to move up. We are now overbought and finding resistance at the 200 moving average on a daily. So remember that is significant. But let's continue our top down analysis. So based on what I'm seeing, we got to come down to at least a 7-1, but more than likely we'll get somewhere in this level, somewhere near this 2150. But you can see you've got a 21 cross of the 200. I'm going to, again, now that you have the macro perspective, the point here is to get the macro perspective, and I'll let you see kind of what's been going on. decline from 21 to 23, and then we started the upward trend again, significant retrace. And so now what we're looking for is to capitalize on um, the bullish trend resuming here. Weekly chart, uh, stochastic is bullish. So that is the overall perspective. Remember, you get your trend and your direction from the higher time frames. And so we'll be looking for bullish trades, right? Drop down to the 4 hour. Going to get rid of the higher time frame fibs now that you guys know what is going on there. And we're going to work with this low to high. You see we're oversold. 2150 is bullish. We're waiting for the golden cross on the 4 hour. We drop down to the hourly and reset the chart. You can see that the moving averages are actually completely bullish. We have run through the first two profit targets, trading off of the 200 and the 7.9. So we do probably need a significant, let me see, we'll get a significant retrace here. But with the contract that you guys have, this is something that if you get the right entry, which you should do on your 30-minute time frame, and probably enter on a red candle, red wick somewhere in here between 5.75 and $6. This is something that will hedge you against the shorter term trades that we have open and that we will be opening. And so that's what I have going on for this morning. But I want to kind of, Natasha, do you have something that you want to talk about that's going on in the news real quick?
I'm
What?
actually looking. I'm looking for news. I don't know why SMCI is running like it stole something.
Because I called it. That's why.
That's why, of course, of course. So we have that going on. Nvidia's making a nice bounce. But you know what? That PDD news.
What news? See, I love it. I love it. I love it. What PDD news specifically? I saw what the chart did, but I did not see the news, specific news on PDD.
Oh, the U.S. Postal Service
Uh,
suspends parcels from China. And that's what's affecting. So it's not necessarily PDD news, but it's that. They are the post office just until further notice is not accepting any packages from the U.S. to China from them, amongst others. And I think that you're going to see that affect some other stocks that get there. So like I'm sure. Um, Actually, I have an Amazon store, so we would say have to sometimes compete with some of these Chinese sellers who are able to get the products much lower than we are. But they're sending them here. So anybody who is reliant on shipments from China, I think is a good candidate for a put.
so looking at just real quick, looking at the 30-minute chart, let's see what we have going on here. Um, I mean, everybody in the mentorship should know when they see this. This always makes me think of Dion for some reason. But when they see this trade below the moving averages and then back up into them, this is especially the 200 moving average. This is potentially a good short opportunity. And so I'll grab a contract, but we have 6 minutes before the market opens. I got um all of my accounts open, so I'm ready. But SMCI, let's see if there was some news.
You know what? I mentioned to you before that they have a tendency to pre-announce. I just don't see the pre-announcement, if that is what it is.
There is a, well, let me see when I called this. I just was searching it in the chat. This was actually January 24th. So I wonder if there was another instance. But let's look when that was. I guess that was before all the crazy news. Yep, way back here. So at the very least, I called a $40 call on January 24th. So at the very least, we will get back in the running for that. But let's see if it's been called since then. Mm, no, that was the last time.
Yeah, I have no idea, but if you're in calls, you're getting paid. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So yeah, we got, I see a inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulders. Let's see if we can figure out where we may get to today. We'll start on the 4 hour. What else? I know you got some other charts over there that you've been looking at, some plays that you're thinking about.
Well, just in, you know that I'm kind of disappointed in not getting my entry into QCOM yesterday. Um, it did pretty much what I thought it was going to do when when we discussed it here on the call. Um, and it's holding pretty well. It's down a couple of cents, but given everything that happened in the overnight session, I'm still eyeing their earnings. Their earnings are coming up. Um, I would have thought that they would have been, but this was also kind of my point yesterday and why I elected to eye QCOM rather than AMD. Number one, I think it's a better product, but number two, and it just went positive. Number two, if you were stuck holding AMD with the way they dropped in earnings, your premium's pretty well gone. QCOM still has the opportunity to run, and what it looks like to me, just looking at what else is running alongside QCOM while AMD is falling, um, some of your other chips and semis like Abgo is way up, and so I think some of the money from AMD is going into those stocks. Um, I
Let's
like
let's
QCOM. Mhm.
talk about that for a minute. I am, and so what I realized yesterday was we were just short of the 886 level. Now, so I got my 886 at 108.41. We are slightly below the 886 level. It's a 10% decline. I'm surprised because my theory is that the response is going to be based on the chart position. And I guess I really shouldn't be surprised considering that we were not at that 886 level. And so what I expect, this is something that I looked at last night, is now that these stocks have declined this way and they're out of the range of the call contracts that people were most likely in, these stocks won't start to move back up. And Google's one of them, AMD is another, perhaps Apple I haven't looked at, but they won't start moving up again until February 20, what would that be, the 24th? The
The
Monday
21st is
after
the okay. Yep.
the Monday after expiration. And so AMD will probably be in a holding pattern here for the next 2 weeks or so. And that kills I had a February 21st 120. That's dead in the water. But I do have a March that still has some promise. Same strike price, 120. So that might pan out. And the market is open.
Yeah.
So I'll check the news real quick in a second. Let me just see.
I'm definitely liking PA&W, but I know we kind of talked about that yesterday. Um, what is it? Marjorie Taylor Greene is her name. She's
Mhm.
in, um, but it's probably gonna miss the entry on. Well, I made an entry yesterday that wasn't alerted, but um, I see it. It reports earnings next week on Thursday, so it's kind of hard to see. There we go. It really. Maybe I should throw a fib on this.
You want to share your screen?
Just a second. I'm trying to get everything together because this is one of those. I wouldn't call it a weirdo chart, but oh,
I'm gonna look at some. Let me look at the higher time frame on PDD. 200 is at 102. 105, 102. I'm gonna hold.
what are you
Perhaps
holding?
scout this. I'm just thinking about whether or not or how much we want to commit to these puts because you never know. I don't know, you could kind of assume you know what China is going to do, and that they'll play hardball, but you really never know what is going to come out. But we can hedge in some short-term puts. Let's see what Baba and the other one are doing. Baba, Badu. So let me get out of that while I have an opportunity, and then I'll look at some puts on PDD. Mm,
And I think the important thing to also just kind of remember here is that a lot of why is app 11 going down? Um, a lot of just with what is going on in the market, you should be taking profits when you see them. So these aren't long term holds in my mind. These are take your profit and go, which may not be everyone's trading style. And I know you and I kind of talked about maybe me explaining a bit more of my trading style to our audience. Um, what I have a tendency to do is to um, purchase contracts for really good setups, really high probability setups. And I will scale out of them. And what I leave myself with is typically just contracts that are free to me. So I'm playing with the house money. So if I bought 10 contracts and I made enough to cover um, the whole entire position, I will cash that out and leave what remains there so that I'm always playing with house money.
I think that it would be beneficial if you. I'm really surprised. I guess not so much. I shouldn't be probably on Lunar, but I feel like any day they are going to announce that moon launch. But I think you should just continue to expand upon what you mean and give examples and direction perhaps in the chat on what
Okay.
it is you're doing with that strategy, because it's super smart, and I think that if they start to do that, they'll see the benefit. Now what, let's see, I guess I got completely out of Baba yesterday because I can't find the contract anywhere.
Okay.
I'm up decently on Tim, which is good. Let's see what RXT is doing. Defense. Nice. It's not a lot. Somebody said, I told you guys the other day, somebody said to me, I don't know how to play these plays, these small companies that you called, Leslie. So one part of it is I had on the flip side of that, I had somebody express their appreciation for the, what word do I want to use? Reasonably priced. Reasonably priced contracts that we call. But as far as how to play them, you buy them at the money And then, depending on your expiration date, you hold them for significant profit. This is another method of hedging against, let's see, I'm up 16% on my RXT, but of hedging against the high volatility Mag 7 stuff that everybody likes to trade. And so I just like I'm in May 16, $3, which is at the money. And again, they're a good hedge. I consider them to be money in the bank. If you buy an at the money contract with 6 months on it, it's pretty difficult to lose a whole lot on that or not win on that contract. And so you guys know about my 50-30-20 capital allocation strategy, where I'm putting at least 50% of my capital into leaps and longer term trades. So I don't know, I probably was rambling, but I'm looking at my accounts over here. Making some moves. Let me check the news real quick. Aurora Cannabis. It seems like there's some interest in cannabis again, and that makes sense to me. Um,
Uh, Cannabis is big business and lots of taxes.
and our president is a businessman, so I expect that we'll hear something about that probably within the first. I would think the first 3 months of his term, he'll start to address that.
Hmm,
I
I
would
would
think.
think so.
So let's look. You're welcome to share your screen, show whatever chart you might be looking at. I'm just now going through the
Well, right
watch.
now I'm just looking at yep, I will share it.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm here. It let me share it on my own.
There we
So
go.
right now I'm looking at the PANW um, chart. It is. I entered some calls yesterday on this. I didn't alert them in the group because that was my end of day lotto. They report earnings next week, and we're on the 4 hour here. But I had projections for it to hit 190, 195 ish in between now and then. Um, and that's just kind of where we are. And you can see where what it's doing on the hourly. It is trying. It's actually in range of the 200 moving average, and I think it will get above and close above that and just take off. So I'm strategically positioned there. And if it's, let's see what offers the, so you can see on the 4 hour, it looks a little bit further away, but that 190 level is that 200 moving average. And like I said, I think we will see it get there pretty quickly. Probably, it may go there today. It's looking very, very strong. But earnings are next week. I'm also actively looking for some additional earnings plays so that we can kind of get a head start on next week's earnings and catching the run up for those.
Okay, can you hear me? I tend to mute myself.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
I tend to mute myself in between while you're talking, as not to disturb you. But I'm just looking at stuff that I've entered and stuff that we've called over here in the background. So some of the things that are moving, and I hope some of you guys took advantage of these trades. But TEM, I keep saying Tim, like the name. TEM is up. Let's see. DraftKings is if you look at the DraftKings chart, I think it's presenting another entry. Let's see what RXT is doing. So I do. I'm looking at some of the aerospace stuff. Again, trying to get us diversified away from what is currently going on. I think 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, something different will be going on. There'll be some other sectors, some other industries that are disrupted by politics and all of that stuff. But right now, I'm trying to move us away.
You're sounding a bit underwaterish.
I don't know why that might be. Let me know if it improves. But
It's like a crackle. It seems to be getting better. There it goes.
okay.
There it goes. I'm gonna pop back over here and see what SPY is doing.
So ASST is one of those is going again. One of those penny stocks I had shared probably. I know I shared in the chat when I took profit on it last time. And this morning, and I rebought some shares, not as many as I wish I had bought at this point, but this morning it's up 43% again. And so now is a great time. Let me share my screen real quick. I don't think you have to do anything. I don't think you have to unshare anything. But now is a great time to talk about how these penny stocks work. So we entered this one, and it has, I can't even call it a retrace. It is down significantly from our entry, which was at about 12%. But it's just a matter of, for me anyway, I know I have multiple 5 figures of shares in this stock, and I'm not too worried about it because in the grand scheme of trading and trading accounts, it is a very insignificant amount of my capital. But it's just a matter of time before it's up 1,000% or whatever. So I'm just holding that one. But this is one that if you just follow them, you can kind of capitalize on the moves in a more timely manner, right? And so traded into the 886, and now we're going to take off again and more than likely go for the 0.28 level. And so I just, whenever I take profit on a trade, buy myself some of these penny stocks. And
You were really cracked
the
again.
unfortunate part is, in order for me to fix it, I would have to shut us completely down. So
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I can find some earbuds would improve the sound. But for now, we just got what we got. Some more of what I would consider penny stocks that are moving this morning is BDMD. I believe I gave you guys that one in the chat. See what Tim is doing. I'm at 75 Tim calls. I gave those to you guys. It looks like relatively recently, but that's one that we've been trading since December. I think. Let's see what else is moving. I'm just looking at what else is moving. SMCI is giving some of its gains back, but to me, based on what I'm seeing on the 15 with the moving averages being all clustered like that, it's just setting us up for another entry opportunity. Although I do kind of wish I had got out up there. Let me find that trade. What else is moving? Okay. NVIDIA is trying to climb back.
Yeah, NVIDIA is having a pretty good morning. Pretty good morning. I'm still working on my camera here too. You guys, it's not that I don't want to be with you. We don't know what happened, and tech support is not real helpful. It's saying I did something and I can't figure out how to undo it. Because,
Look, do you call Oracle or you call QCOM? Okay,
Okay.
Oracle is on the move this morning. What else?
No, but we talked about Oracle yesterday. So I'm not at all surprised that that's what's happening. That would definitely make sense. Sorry, I'm moving about. I'm moving from one locale to the next.
Look at Baba. Now that is an interesting phenomenon, right? Let's see what PDD is on. Oh yeah. This is kind of what I was saying about. I'm not going to get too heavily invested in puts on this stuff because, and I could have sworn I held one Baba contract for this very purpose, but they are running.
Hmm.
Can I mute you?
No, you didn't. Or maybe you did. Oh wow. It's like I might want to close that gap too. Definitely looks like that is a possibility.
It looks like it is not going. And again, I think that it could be that the majority of their revenue and sales are not coming from the US. And that is completely reasonable and a reasonable explanation for what we are seeing. If I think about knowing how much I spent on these AMD, this is March. My March contract is taking a beating. Let me see, how much am I down? 70%.
That's not terrible. Like not in
It's,
the grand
it's
scheme
not,
of
because it
things.
could definitely be 100. And
It could be.
nobody likes looking at contracts that are worth 1 cent.
Nah, but I've definitely had some one centers. I forget what the catalyst was, but they were Facebook calls and they were taking a beating. You hear me? And next thing you know, they're up 200 and 300%. So it happens. Definitely does happen.
The beauty of this is still have some NVIDIA contracts open that are kind of
Yeah,
offsetting the beat I'm taking on AMD. Let's see. What else do I want to
I
look at?
am really looking at. And so it's kind of hard when you're trying to kind of I don't want to say, yeah, protect your audience, right? Like, so my risk appetite is significantly higher than some. So is my account and my ability to replenish. And this is probably a good time to kind of talk about what do you do when you're in profit. I generally, and it's always been kind of a rule of thumb, I generally don't start any trading week with more than $3,000 to $5,000, and I find that I get, because when it's like, oh well, that didn't work, I can just go buy another call or I can go replace it, and so that's why I don't do it. But what I will tell you is, moving money. If you moved $100,000 and you blew this $5,000 this week, and that my take on that is, if you're down this much, it's time to stop trading and reset for next week. So I will move money in and I will move money out just as easily. I never leave all of my money sitting in an account. It just becomes too tempting to overtrade. So if I blow the $5,000 that I had for this week, I'm still in pretty good position.
think that is what did we have that conversation with CJ yesterday? Kind of.
Uh, Kinda.
So one of my strategies, which is what I'm looking at right now, is just to roll when I'm in profit. Oftentimes what I'll do instead of taking that profit is roll to the next date, um, and closer to the money. And so I'm doing that with SMCI right now. I was in February, so I'm taking March. And let's see. All right, that's an even trade there. Going to do a market order. Estimated total cost. This is peek back at the chart. Hmm. Trying to see where I would put a lower time frame fib. But as far as I'm at the money, so really can't. Earnings is the one wild card on this
Yep.
contract. But weekly in March, I'm not. I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna go ahead and execute that contract, get it out the way. Hmm. I'm looking now, and I already had April. I didn't even see those. Ah, you probably don't. How many contracts do you typically have open at one time, Natasha? Not
Mm,
contracts per se.
for
I should say
ticker or
positions. I should say positions is a better way of putting it.
for me, no more than like 5 to 7. Because I am forgetful. I'm a lot of things. But I also, so your trading style is a little bit different where you like to take, I play a lot more weeklies than you do. So for me, with that strategy, you can't have 40 weeklies open. That is a recipe for blowing your account.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the reasons for my because I'm honestly prone to over trading too. So one of the reasons I'm looking at my ANET, one of the reasons for I call it my capital allocation strategy is because I have a lot of positions on open. I don't really do this ANET is a weekly. I'm about to close it. Let me see what ANET is doing. I don't really do, like you said, a lot of weeklies. Um, but maybe out of if I had 50 positions open right now, um, 10, 10 of them are shorter than 6 weeks out.
Okay.
I would say about 70% of them probably are leaps. I'm gonna look at that today, see what the numbers are. But I know in one particular account, I think I have 38 contracts open, and about 7 of them were not leaps. 38 positions, not 38 contracts. All right, so I'm gonna give
Yeah.
me some time. ANET, MBOT, Prezzo. What is the firm doing? I'm just making my rounds again.
Listen,
This
I'm not
can
mad
be
at it.
fine.
I
Wait a minute. See, this is the BS that I'm talking about. Look at my screen, if you can.
Wait a minute.
USPS resumes China parcel service.
That
You
was
know,
quick.
it was really quick. But that's what I said. Like, you never know what will be said next and how quickly it'll be said. And so let's go look at some options. I know. I've determined probably, I don't know, 2 months ago that Baidu, for whatever reason, is likely the better stock to be trading. But I just am overcommitted to Baba, this love affair with Baba. And so when I enter Baidu, I get right out of it. Um, let's look at PDD. I like PDD though. What makes PDD exciting is they own Timu. And so I'm not gonna go real heavy in it, but I think I'm gonna take PDD instead of Baba. I would like to know. I'm interested to know, Natasha, if you could track that down while I get us a contract, us being the chat. Um, what happened that they changed their mind in less than 24 hours? There had to be some
I
concession
will look.
made.
You know what? So was it you that I was talking to, or my brother? Yo, Trump is out here sticking up people without a gun.
And that's what never mind. Keep my opinion to myself. But that's
He is
another
out here sticking people up without a gun.
thing. No,
But this is why I'm saying, like, people need to take profit as they're seeing it, because this is, you can look forward to a whole lot more of this, for sure.
but so people don't like
For
him
sure,
for a
for
lot of
sure.
reasons. And maybe it's because of my personality style. Man, I appreciate that kind of leadership because we got things to do. And lots of times being nice is not the way to get them done. And so I'm going to take March. I'm looking at March, maybe April. But our 200 moving average is at 123. So that's a significant amount of range. Uh, let's find the contract. We're at 111-ish. Let me sort by strike price. 120. 120. 124. 125. I don't know if you want to, while I'm trying to find this contract, talk a little bit, if you will, because I'm curious. And some of you may not know this, but Natasha and I traded together probably about 5 years ago. And then we have been trading independent of one another for probably the last 4 years and 6 months. And so I'm curious to know how you are now going about selecting your contracts, especially since you trade weeklies. Um, and I really don't so much. So how do you go about picking good weekly contracts? 620.
Honestly, just the potential of the contract, right? So let's look at this PANW that, let me, am I sharing? I'll share my screen. So we talked about yesterday. Wait a minute. Did I pop back in? Share screen window. So yesterday, go to the daily. So what I was seeing, what is today? Today's the 5th. Yeah, so yesterday, right around this timeline, I was looking and I was seeing that it looked like it wanted to bounce. And then I was looking at where could it go, right? So I wanted, obviously, on a daily, I wanted to go ahead and hit one of my moving averages. But I also know that it has earnings coming up next week. So my philosophy was easy. How quickly can it get there, and how much movement can I expect? Is it a realistic move within the time frame I need or want it to move? So the 190 was the strike that I called. I took that profit at about 110% on my lotto at the end of the day. And I am now getting ready to position in probably these 190s for next week. I see that if it just goes back to highs for today, that I'll make at least 25%. And that's nothing more, nothing less. How quickly can I turn my profit, and what is the likelihood that it will get where I need it to be in the time that I need it to be there. I also find that, again, because I only give myself a certain amount of trading capital per week, it has to also fit what my trade budget is for the week. So I could have, I could have gone out, 3 months, 4 months, but I probably would have only been able to buy one or two contracts versus being able to buy four or five. And I find that taking 25% profit on four or five contracts versus 25% on one tends to be the better risk reward for me.
Okay. I'm gonna start to take more of those kinds of trades. Even with my shorter term trades, I'm typically something is going on with economic news. My phone is vibrating. I'm gonna go with the
Oh,
125 March 2021. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. Let me look. 221 at the money. 115. I like that. So much better. 36-cent delta. So I'm gonna go with actually the 221 115 on PDD.
okay.
Am I gonna be patient for an entry? I should, because that's $1. So let me get the trade set up. 221 115. Once I take it, I can copy and paste it to them. Um, but hopefully somebody is keeping track. Buy to open and 115.
So it looks to me. Where are we at?
All right, checking out what the watch list is doing.
Mm-hmm.
AMD and Google still stuck.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing I have a tendency to do. I like to kind of wait until around 10:30. I notice that you have a lot of just movement floating around in here, people taking profit. And so if you can see this SPX chart, let's see if it comes down to the 50. It probably will. And let's see if we get a bounce from there.
What knows money? I usually don't. Definitely not before 9:45. But 10 o'clock is a good time. I feel like if you're not in by 10 o'clock,
I mean, I think that's all just a matter of preference. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. My thoughts, my experience have been if you're not in by 10, you miss the morning move and you kind of might as well wait till after lunch. This has been my experience. What am I looking for in here? Spy. Trying to find the spy trade. Oh, I think I know where I opened that spy trade.
Did you ever close it though? I feel like we talked about it.
No, I didn't, but it's a March 21st. March 21st.
Well, and it's hovering. This 6009 on the SPX. Uh, you look at it on the daily. Look, I'm not going to draw a line there, but it likes that number, and it likes to come right back up off of it.
Have we
and
closed
boom.
the? Yes, I guess we did close that gap. Let's look at. I'm looking at some charts over here. Spice printing on my 5 minute, a decent size, or trying to print a decent size green candle right now. See what the
Hmm.
Nvidia is back.
Yep.
Damn, they're at my strike price. And damn is a safe word. Those other 4 letter words, not.
Dang it all. But yeah, no, I just called it. I said, up, it's gonna come, it's gonna hit that, and it's gonna go back up. It's trying.
Got a nice bounce on SMCI right off the 618 level. Let's see what my target for the day is. It's above the 200 on the hourly. And so I think we'll get to 33 on SMCI today. Tim, my target for the day, we've already kind of been there, but it'll be like $70. Been there, retraced, and now we are trading off of the zero, the top of the zero fib level at 66.66. We wow, 66.66. We wicked off of um, that level, and so we should get to at least 70, maybe 73 today. Would be nice. Um, let's see what Talkspace is doing. What else did I put in there this morning? LF Life Med. We've been getting a fairly decent number of views on these. We haven't talked about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 23. I think.
See, I don't know how this really works, but I know I'm here. I'm supposed to be here, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, but is it just other people outside of our group,
I
or
have really no idea. That's what I can't tell you. Let me see. I'm going to want to show them this, and you don't have to unshare your screen. You can leave yours up there, and that way I could just toggle them on and off when you need me to share yours again.
okay?
But LifeMed, I think, has presented us the entry based on the 5 minute chart. Um, and so let me look back at my LifeMed contract. From the chat, it's a $7 call. We are at 650. Next profit target is basically $7. Expiration date is May. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and where would I put that?
So now let me ask you. So when you're buying these contracts on lower value options, are you just to make your money? Are you buying say 15, 20 of them, or how are you sizing that?
It depends. So sometimes it kind of depends on what my expectation is. If I want to go heavy in something, I'll buy 100 shares, 1,000 shares, depending on what it is, 20,000 shares. But if I'm not trading the shares, then I will scale into these contracts because they have the potential for huge price movements, 80% in one direction or the other. So because of the expiration dates, I scale in. I think, let me see if I can get to the right screen. But lots of times I'll start with five, especially on my leaps. I'll start with 5 or 10.
Okay.
And then you give yourself the
Okay.
opportunity to scale out of them. If I should have said this a bunch of times, if I look at a contract that expires 700 days from now and I'm up 40%, I want to take some of that profit. And so you're able to close some of your contracts and still maintain.
And I don't think that that's too different from what it is that I do. It's like,
It's the
okay, if
exact
I
same.
bought 10 or 15 of this.
It's just with a long
No, and I know what
perspective.
you're saying.
And I think both have value. Um, I just do. the majority of my capital in the longer term contracts, and the shorter term stuff with about 20-25% of my capital. Where is the contracts? It's impossible that my computer could be freezing up. I don't even have that much stuff open. I'm going to turn your screen back on. So it's a Life Med $7 for May. Mm,
There's interesting action here this morning, like as to nothing wants to just completely stay up. Like we're seeing some retrace here, and I think looking at some good opportunities on some of this stuff. This might be my QCOM entry.
yes, let me take a look.
I was looking for.
We traded off the 618. The only issue that, and it's not even really an issue. The only issue that I see is it's right at, it bounced off the 200 moving average on my 15. But I would not want to wait for it to take out the 200 moving average and trade back into it before I get in.
Mhm. Well, and remember, the catalyst is also earnings. So I expect a nice little pop.
When is earnings?
Earnings for QCOM. I'll tell you in 1 second. Tonight.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep, tonight.
Hmm. So I want to say this too is it's so I'm looking right now at ASST, and I think that people probably look at it like, oh, that is at least yesterday. Oh, that's a 55-cent stock. Well, today it's a 90-cent stock, and 50% movement is 50% movement. So like I said before in the chat, if you put $1,000 in it and it runs up 50%, just made $500. Um, and it does not have time decay. So it may not be zero risk, but a significantly lower risk than trading options for people that need to take a lower risk. BBAI is running. It is created in, let me see, at least a 52-week high, a new 52-week high. So that's good. I got some leaps on that. Mm, 10 is still running. We've hit that profit target. I said I thought that 10 would get to $70 today. We're at 16, or get back to 70 today. We're at 69.26, which makes it more likely.
I actually think that the markets go positive today
Eh,
and here shortly, actually.
oh, look at SMCI. Tell it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's anything is running. The firm is rebounding nicely.
Yep.
I was over here with my feet kicking way up because what you gonna do? MVTS, and I'm just running through the stuff that I know I call MVTS is up. Oh, I'm hungry. RTX is making, or RXT, I'm sorry, is making a decent little move. But again, that's a $3 stock. So what else we got? Oklo. That's what I wanted to see. I was waiting to get a good opportunity for Oklo, and I think we either we missed it or I think Oklo could retrace more.
Now, what are your thoughts? I saw you post something about it, but what are your thoughts on all of these layoffs? I saw you post a little bit in response to someone on Facebook regarding Estee Lauder.
So you said what are my thoughts?
Yeah.
My thoughts are buckle up, buttercup, but I'm a jerk. So no, seriously, I think that what we are seeing with the layoffs, you see this. This is going to be the word of 2020. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say this. The word of 2025 is going to be efficiency. A lot of the articles that I visited to get those screenshots and copy and paste that stuff reference efficiency. And so for me, efficiency is a synonym for or synonymous with AI and robotics. We got the Doge committee or whatever it is. And so you will see, um, I think, just widespread movement toward efficiency. But for us, for people who are employed, that is unfortunate. I think that people within the next 3 years are going to be on UBI, which is just universal welfare. And so it's unfortunate for people who are employed and who will be being laid off from those jobs. But for traders, we know how to capitalize on that because we know what happens whenever there are layoffs. And I can only imagine how much more significant that's going to be when they're constantly being mass layoffs. You lay off 5% of a 72,000 person workforce. I think that was Meta. That's huge. And
Yeah,
that means
that is
huge,
huge.
huge cost savings in the name of efficiency. And so y'all, the funny thing is, y'all just figured out y'all need to be more efficient. Um, and so it's happening in our government. Yeah, we will continue to see it, and it will continue to make stock prices rise.
And this is what we're here for.
Indeed, AMD, Google, or AMD and Google are doing the exact same thing. Literally, the exact same chart. I think Lunar is giving us an opportunity for. Let me just make sure before I say that. The opportunity for an entry here. Let me see if I can find anything online about their moon launch. Intuitive. I'll use bar chart. Market overview. Stock market leaders, the majority of which are down at the moment per per bar chart. Uber's down 7%. I wonder why. Did they report?
Let me check.
Lunar.
Good old Uber. I remember the days. So, oh, yeah, they're down 7%. And yes, it looks like they missed earnings.
Redemption of outstanding warrants. Hmm. I'm gonna share my chart because I. Oh, you still? Well, I'll share mine. I'm still looking at just scrolling through the watch list, trying to see who was lining up a nice entry.
I kind of am liking Nvidia as I'm still in some of those calls that I had though. Um, but it's been holding pretty well today. It's been holding pretty well today, and its earnings are coming up. I think we definitely see a nice gap on that tomorrow. I think for me, the 124 level is where I want to see it holding. I don't think we get to 124 today. I could be wrong. But if we do, that'll be a buy for me.
Nvidia is flirting with 6-month lows. Let me look at higher time frame. So I would draw my fib. We've done this. We've done this in the Wednesday night training so many times.
Mm.
But I would draw my fib here and trading off the 7.9, stuck at the 200 moving average. For me, that's a bullish stochastic. We could get to 126 today. We're gonna trade back into 120 first, probably. But I think we can get to 126 today, especially with the right news. That's what's interesting about these times is you just never know what news you're gonna get. And quite frankly, the impact that it's going to have because we had a crypto training last night and Walt gave his perspective on what happened yesterday with the little cryptocurrency press conference, and that was not at all what I would
Oh
have expected as a
no!
response to regulation. Are
So
you
what
talking
was
to
his
me or someone
perspective?
else?
No, I'm talking to
That
you.
that basically he said that traders, people who are trading and buying and selling Bitcoin and cryptocurrency don't care about that. Um, and that what we witnessed was just people taking profit. So, can't really argue with it because there really, for me, is no justification for PDD bounce right off the 886 in the pre-market. There really, for me, is no justification for that being a response to regulation. That's what everybody's been saying that they wanted for the last 5 years.
Yep, you're right.
What did I put? I think I put the PD.
Very interesting. Oh, look at T Doc. We talked about that yesterday.
That
Okay.
means Talkspace should be doing well. Let's see. Talkspace doing the ones and twos. I think I am, and I get it. So I'll come into the market and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to use this contract or this stock to make my money for today, and then I'm just patient with the rest of the stuff. Like, all right, I'm gonna load something for a month or two from now, or 2 weeks from now, and then I'm gonna use like a firm, for example, trading off the 200. I'm gonna use a firm, this $5 range to make me some money for today, and I find something with some decent delta, and do that. I'm just, I don't think it's that I'm lazy. I think it's that I spent a lot. I am lazy. I spent a lot of
I mean,
time
think
in these
about it
charts
like
and
this.
trading.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's like somebody who knits, right? They're going to pick up that ball of yarn and that knitting needle and just go to town versus someone like myself who doesn't know the first thing about knitting trying to attempt to do that. Like, it's going to take me a whole lot longer. I'm going to have a lot more uncertainty. Um, that sort of thing. I think when you trade what you like to trade, and when you trade it consistently, like you said, this $5 range. to tell you that there's a $5 range. You know that $5 range typically, like the back of your hand. That is the way that I kind of trade.
And again, that's why I appreciate the different perspectives. So I've had the experience, I'm sure you've
Um,
had it too, of seeing things produce. So like the
I,
SANP trade. Can you not hear me again?
I can hear you.
Okay, the SANP trade, for example, went from $1,400 to $32,000 in a matter of like 36 or 48 hours. And so that's the stuff that I like to trade. I like to trade stuff that has that kind of potential. And then I have my bread. There's nothing I can do about it, I guess. I'll try to figure out, or I'll use a different laptop. You know what? I can invite myself via a different laptop. I'm gonna mute, so keep the people entertained. I'm gonna mute and join from another laptop and
Keep
heat
the
up
people
my coffee.
entertained. Does anyone have? Okay. So while we're here, does anybody have any chart requests? Okay. Let's see. I want to show you, just as we've been sitting here talking, kind of what we said, and we talked about it a little bit ago, how the expectation when the SPX dropped back down here to our 50, that it immediately started going back up. Positive on the day is only a few more points out. Um, and it's just the movement here makes me believe that we go positive, and things that are a little bit beaten down, and you can see it here on this 15-minute, the comparison of these candles. We've got 2 minutes before this closes, but you can see, um, more to my point, the S&P and the NASDAQ want to go higher, and they're going to. Short of any news, we had every single reason to cave the other day, with the introduction of the tariffs and all that other good stuff. We had every reason to stay down with the introduction of DeepSeek, but we didn't. And so I'm kind of bullish damn near everything right now. And you can see that, like, so I would imagine NVIDIA is probably making a pretty green candle too. Nope. Oh, that's the hourly. Okay. So it is not making a pretty green candle on the 15-minute, but that could signify an entry, because it's sitting above all of these moving averages here. Um, but if you look at the 4 hour, it's come back in. It's come back into your 21. Um, but on the hourly, it's still above it. So looking at where it's trading, it looks like with some decent volume, that's an hourly candle, but with some decent volume, and we saw real decline. And that's another good indicator for me that this may be a really shallow move, is if you look at the size of this volume candle here for the prior 15 minutes versus where we're shaping up now. I would expect that your next candle is going to be a green one. Um, as I said before, 124 is a level for me. But when we look at, like I said, when we just look at what the market is doing overall, and it's a big, I don't have NDX up here, do I? I do somewhere. Um, it tends to follow, or NDX tends to follow what NVIDIA is doing. And so I'm using those two collectively together, because I know that that is what moves, or it's a heavily weighted. And so it will help move. But NVIDIA, I think, is just kind of sitting here, ready to make its next move. my NVIDIA go? It took my NVIDIA tab away. Sounds like Leslie might be back.
I'm back from another laptop. Hopefully, the sound is improved. Can you hear me?
Mm, yeah, I can definitely hear you better now. I don't hear that crackle. But yeah, I think all things being equal, I think the market does want to go positive today. Like I said, we're not far off, and it's when given the opportunity to fail, right? It's holding very, very strong, very, very strong. And it's just, I think just sitting here and watching the illustration of just how powerful the moving averages are is you continue to see it trade back into the average and then bounce right off. Trade back in, bounce right off. Trade back in, bounce right off.
I'm having to do some significant wrangling to be able to, because one laptop is the admin and so controls the screens and all of that stuff, and then the other admin apparently has working sound. I mean, the other laptop has working sound. So forgive me, guys.
Okay.
But
Uh,
now I can maximize your screen on the bigger laptop. And so we are, what's today? Wednesday? Oh, I noticed
Today would
something
be
else
Wednesday.
last night. So
What's
I
that?
told you guys I was doing working on the Fibonacci training. And because I'm really working on it for the live training, we'll call it next month. Um, I talked about Fibonacci time retracement. And so I'm just going to put my prediction out there. And I'm glad that this came up. I think something is going to happen tomorrow that is going to, and I'll show you why. It's not on this, might be able to see it. But I think something significant is going to happen tomorrow to drop the market. And I think that was based on Google's chart. Let me just confirm where I saw it. Google. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what chart it was on, but it'll be in the Fibonacci training. And when I can find it, I'll send a screenshot to the chat. But I was like, how am I going to help them with this Fibonacci, get more comfortable with the Fibonacci? And so I think what I have is a pretty good, pretty good go at it.
I can't
What
wait to see it. I mean, I already understand it, but I think I don't know. I don't know where it gets lost in translation because your explanation of where to draw it, why you draw it, what all of that looks like when you're trying to trade based off of it makes perfect sense. It's the best explanation I've ever been given.
so my thing was I worry that especially with having the experience of doing the mentorship is that I'm oversimplifying stuff like that I'm taking for granted. And this happens a lot just in general, but that I'm taking for granted that people have perhaps a more advanced understanding than they do of stuff. And so I'm kind of flippant when I'm explaining stuff. And so if that is the case, this will really give people a more advanced understanding and give them some of the more technical explanations that I was given when I was taught how to draw it, why to draw it, and why we're using it.
Gotcha.
Where
Um,
are my
I
notepad?
am going to go warm up my coffee. I'll be back in like 66 seconds.
Okay, no problem. I'm gonna allow myself to share my screen and just go through some stuff, perhaps. All right, so still, guys, just the going through the watch list, seeing what's moving, what's not moving. BBAI is one that I've been in leaps in. We've been in leaps probably since December, certainly early January. But I'll show you guys how to use real quick. Um, where would I draw the fib here? I'm on the daily. Near to there. I'm on a much smaller screen than I'm used to. So bear with me. Close this. So we're almost at our final profit target, but of course, because it's a leap, I can hold for that 8.8. We can all hold for that 8.76, $8.76 level. But your Fibonacci time-based tool is over here, and what you do is you just draw it the same way. Did I get the right one? Ah, it's not like this on my other laptop. It doesn't look like that. But you draw it from the same low to the same high. Hold on a second. All right. Put my fib back. Let me see if I can mute Natasha. Oh, I can. Okay, there we go. There we go. Hopefully it's the same template, and it's not. Just gonna do it from the laptop where the sound's not working. Hopefully, if you guys have trouble hearing me, let me know um in the chat. All right, hopefully I fixed that. Here we go. And so this is not the chart that I was looking at, but what you can see with this fib, and I'm going to teach this in more detail in the live training, but what you can see with this fib is basically the time retracements. And so for in every period, you have a move in a different direction. And so when we get here, is when we will start to retrace. And that is really how simple it is. Hopefully, I'm not oversimplifying stuff, but for me, that's really how simple it is. It does not have this built in. And so we'll have to see on this. It's different on every ticker, on every chart. But we'll have to see what happens in this area between the 3 and the 5. And so what may happen is where the 4 would be, we'll get another reversal, or it may do something different in this zone. but I'll show you the settings on it. And these are preset. This is science. This is not my stuff. I didn't make this up. Thank you guys, whoever that is, letting me know that you can't see the chart. There we go. All right, so, and I'm talking fast. There's a lot going on over here. Shuffling the laptops around again. I'm gonna start from the beginning. It does not take long. One thing I don't like about trading view is that when you move from one device to the next, the settings don't remain the same on stuff. But anyway. So you want to do it on a higher time frame chart because you're trying to basically get an idea of what happens from one day to the next or from week to week. But you start with, of course, your higher time frame Fibonacci. On this one, we traded into the 618, almost 7-1 level, and then we traded off. Moving averages were on our side, stochastic was on our side. But look over on the left-hand side, you want the Fib time zone tool, and you just draw that from the same low, the same move basically, to the same high, and you can, it just pops right out at you. That in every one of these zones, we get a retrace, or we get a reversal, if you want to call it that. And it is really that simple. In this zone, the basic settings, the default settings, do not have a 4. And so what I've noticed is that in this zone, something different may happen. But you know that your 4 would be about here, and so you can look for and expect it to trade down in this area and then back up, or again, it may do something different. I may be able to find the chart that made me say Thursday last night. Something significant was going to happen. Would have been, I think, one of the Mag 7. But again, that's something that I'm going to, let's do NVIDIA. Let's do it on the lower time frame. Checking the chat. One of the questions that I have for you guys is, I think that the morning stream is too long. I think that we should probably go from 9 to 10:30 and then perhaps come back from 3 to 4. But let me know what you think about that. I think it starts to drag around 10:30. But again, the market is moving and giving opportunities and entries until about 11 o'clock. So I don't know. I have to figure that part out. But as far as where I would draw my fib here, just reading the chat. It's interesting. So this is saying that something will happen on the 12th. You can see what happened here was we started, and this is what I mean by something different. So that other chart was up and then down and then up, and then there was the 3 to the 5 zone. And so here in 1, you got an up move, and 2, you've got consolidation. And I think we can almost call this the 3. And so it seems like in, they calling that 0, 1, 2. So we can call this the 2 area right here. We may start to get a bullish movement here, or we may continue lower, and then on or about the 12th, start to move back up again. See what this news is. SMCI has achieved full production availability. Consolidation. So up, down, consolidation. Do we get up, down, and consolidation again? But given what I'm looking at, the Fed, we traded into the 7-1. I'm looking, hoping these jokers say the right things to get to that $55 level. Let me see if I lock Natasha out. Natasha, you there?
You unmuted. I'm here. So, what I was saying is that sounds like the reason for the move, SMCI having achieved the full production.
We're off the 200 on the 4 hour. That's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying earlier, it looks like it wants to go positive, and if it does,
I would watch for
NVIDIA is holding
pretty
well.
strongly off of this level, and then you take a put down to 592. And then if we get to 592, you see what it does every time it gets there. So something explosive is going to happen. Which direction? I will be watching for it. So I want to remind you guys, I'm excited. So I'm going to talk about it probably every day. That even if you can't make the live training in Laurel, Maryland, we are having a meet and greet on February the 28th from about 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at a place called the Royal Taj, which is like a really nice Indian restaurant. You can check them out online, but we would love to meet you guys in person there. If you are interested in the live stream of the live training, put a link in there yesterday with a reduced price for you guys to do that. And the other thing that is worth noting is that as you guys price, Stripe does offer Klarna as an option. And so you could do it in 4 payments if you want to come to the actual live training. But worst case scenario, I'm hoping to meet some of you guys at the meet and greet at the Royal Taj.
Just 1 point though, seating is limited. I think we've got about 4 seats left, so plan accordingly.
As expected, Tim has reached that level. We can call that reaching that level. First profit target, we'll call it. Oh, we have training tonight at 7 o'clock. So hopefully some of you guys that haven't been able to make it will be able to make it tonight. But now we're trading back and forth in between the zone. But based on the declaration date that we have, I'm going to be holding this contract for at least the 0.5 level. Let me see. We need a third person just to handle this because you guys know I'm not. She shouldn't be muted. She should not be muted based on what I'm seeing. Rochelle, can you shoot her a message and let me know what she says in response to the message? Because as far as I can
I
see,
wonder if it's all the having in the group.
all the stuff is still going. We need a third person to manage that part of it.
Oh, got you. Leslie, could you hear me? Rochelle is saying she thinks you can't hear me. Interesting. Okay.
There we go. Okay, I know what happened. It's a two laptop thing. And so, how's my sound now?
Better.
How's this? Okay. Oh boy, I'm shutting this other laptop. All right. So I just been rambling on, waiting for you to come back.
I've been here the whole time though. You
My
just had me
bad,
muted.
dog. Told you I can't walk and
It's
chew
okay.
bubble gum. So I showed them the fib time retracement. How did I do on this chart? All right, they said they can hear both of us. Good. Dang, we missed it again. I just said this morning, I think it was still in pre-market. I think this might be our opportunity on Oklo. And then got distracted and missed it again. This is why I want to have a trading team. What do you think about that, Natasha? I think I said this before. I know I've said it to you. I think we may have found our third person. Hopefully we'll hear back from her soon. But what do you think about that? Because one of my goals is that to either build for my students or find
Yeah, no.
yeah,
I
five people,
I
five
think
people.
it's a good idea. Um, I don't live, but at least one or two
Yeah,
more for sure.
well, hopefully we have one
I mean,
at
you asked for
least.
my opinion.
I'm quiet because I'm just over here pondering that. I'm thinking about the thoughts that went into you saying, no, I don't think that we need five. But I'm just looking at the sheer size of my watch list. 238 symbols is probably why I think five. I'm not asking you to let them move in with you, Natasha, or even that you talk to them every day. Um,
Ma'am. That could be a reason why. Maybe we need to work on paring down the watch list. Um, but no, I mean,
and
I don't think it's the
no,
worst
actually,
idea
I'm good
ever.
with it. But four, I mean, four is decent. It depends on the four traders. It
Yeah,
depends
and
on the
if
four
anybody
traders.
took the next week's 190 Palo Alto, we are up. We're only up like 10%, but I expect that to run pretty much all day. So
I can't
once
wait
we
to
hop
go.
off of here in 7 minutes, I'll be watching. So my top watches for today are definitely Palo Alto, so PANW. Um, Looking at Twilio, I feel like it wants to try and finally start cooperating in coin. I am in next week vibes. Um, in all transparency, I'm down a little bit on those. I didn't have to be. They got back to even, but I'm definitely confident in a move towards the end of the week because they do report earnings. Um, and then, QCOM has earnings tonight, and I will probably be looking at some lottos there. I'm looking at 185 and 190 lottos. They are cheap enough that I don't want to say that I don't care, but they're definitely cheap enough. The 190 right now is trading 97 cents. Well, the bid is 89, the ask is 97, so you can probably get in for about 90, 92 cents. I think it has the absolute potential to get there with good earnings. So Lotto at your own risk. Remember, no two accounts are the same, and I am definitely will be playing with profits. So that's what I've got for you. Also looking into some things that have earnings for next week for us to potentially get into to enjoy the run up there. I think all this time that we're kind of spending here at these NDX levels and what have you. Oh, and now we're up 12%. I think, like Leslie was saying, signifies a breakout, and I think that that's going to be an upward move. So that's what I got. Gotta love that Palo Alto Networks, PANW.
I'm just looking at my leaps because a lot of that stuff is running now. So seeing if I want to pare down anything or roll anything. Um, and I don't really have. I'm watching for, and I think I'm kind of satiated because the leaps are doing well today. But I'm watching for that one runner for the day. Oklo probably was the one.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanna part with kind of is that I think we're not going to be in this holding pattern on the Uber, the Google, AMD. Let me see what Apple's doing. Perhaps, I don't know. Apple looks a little different. Um, but perhaps even Apple until after the February 21st expiration. And you'll see that. I'll point it out month after month to you that is one of the tricks that they use. They do a run up, and I'm going to find that Thursday, the chart that predicted tomorrow. But they run up, they get everybody excited and in calls, and then they pull it back in the other direction and hold it there, especially with earnings, hold it there until the monthly contract expires. And then immediately, it just happened. For example, look at Uber right after. I'm here. I got 3 minutes. I can do it. And I'll show you a great example of it. They got everybody all excited, jumping into Uber calls. They traded back here. They got everybody excited all again, jumping into Uber calls. And then it's not, matter of fact, wait a minute. It was this one. It was this earnings. So they got everybody excited here, jumping into calls. They pulled it back. They pulled it back again. But where is the expiration? Was it January 21st? I don't know. I have to look at it. And the reason why I know is because I was in an Uber 65. And it pulled back. And as soon as the monthly contract expired, it might have been that it wasn't, might have been the December expiration. As soon as, it probably was. As soon as that December 17th contract expired, it started to run up and went right into the money. That's what it was. It was back here, jumped into a 65 somewhere. And then as soon as the September contract expired in here, it went into the money. And so they do that to you again and again. And I think that's where we are on Google, AMD, maybe Apple. MU is been consolidating for about a week now, 1 or 2 weeks now. And so we'll see. I still like MU up to 96. When's their earnings? That might be an interesting earnings run up play.
Yeah.
All right, so let us know in the chat what you guys think about the length of the morning live. Natasha and I are going to talk about it because I think it might be too long. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Natasha, hang out for a second. Don't leave. I'm just going to take us off.
Okay.